In tonight's Tax Insider, the congressional countdown. The clock is ticking on Capitol Hill for lawmakers to pass a budget before the money runs out at the end of this month. But with less than 10 full days left in session, what's going to happen? For insight, we turn to our guest tonight on Capitol Insider. Ryan Alexander is president of the nonpartisan Taxpayers for Common Sense. Welcome, Ryan. So at this point, it seems safe to say a funding bill is not going to happen by the end of September. So that means a continuing resolution should be in the works. When should we expect to actually hear about a CR, and how long do you think it'll last?
I think we'll hear about the shape of a CR next week, and I think at this point there is virtually no way to avoid one. There's 15 days left in the fiscal year. They're just not close to passing funding bills, so we'll see one. The question is kind of how long, what will it look like? Will there be big anomalies in it, and kind of what strings will come attached to it?
The Republican leadership have been pretty insistent that there will not be a shutdown this year, but some close to Capitol Hill are already taking bets. Some say chances are greater than 50%. What do you think? If you a betting woman, what would you bet on this? And could we see another shutdown?
We could definitely see another shutdown. I think that's a possibility. And honestly, I would watch watching the betting tables in London and see how people are betting on this. I think there's a lot of I think the most likely thing is that we will not see a shutdown, but it's a very strong possibility. I think we can learn a lot from what we see from the CR. If we get a 2 to 3 month CR, that suggests that they're really working hard to come to a new budget deal, to some kind of next version of the Murray-Ryan deal from a few years ago that changes the shape of the Budget Control Act, makes some room within the spending caps so that they can move forward. If it's a very short-term CR, 2 to 3 weeks, then I think it's more likely we will see a shutdown.
All right, we want to switch gears now to the Bureau of Land Management. They're asking and accepting comments right now from the public on how to best handle the federal coal program. What can you tell us about that?
So the federal coal program, which is the system that the Department of Interior uses to lease federal lands for development for coal, has been operating kind of in an anachronistic way. It hasn't been updated since the 80s, and taxpayers are getting a bad deal. There are huge problems with the system. We're not very competitive in the way we set out the leases. An inspector general found that over 80% of the leases put to bid in the Powder River Basin, where most of the federal coal is, received only one bid, and none received more than 2 bids. So there's real problems with the competition. There's problems with undervaluation. We need the whole system to be reformed.
And you just mentioned there's some of the problems that exist here, and your agency is calling for reform. How much money do you think is being wasted?
It's billions of dollars. There are developers who are getting, coal companies who are getting coal for $1 a ton. Utilities are buying coal for $40 a ton. We might expect some difference in what the developers are paying and what the utilities are paying, but that kind of difference shows that the taxpayers are really getting a very bad deal. We see a lot of different problems in terms of, as I said, competition. Coal companies are allowed to draw the maps in which they say, this is the part of the land I'd like to lease. So we're giving them way too much control. The taxpayers need to make sure that they're getting a fair deal for, these are taxpayer-owned assets. It's important that we're appropriately compensated.
All right, Ryan Alexander, the president of Taxpayers for Common Sense, thank you for your time and, as always, your expertise.
Thanks for having us.